Looks
Okay,
like we're gonna be doing this for a while still with what's going on out
I'm
there.
afraid so. So it's
Yes.
coming up on the YouTube live. I will let you know.
Gosh. Looks like we're gonna be doing this for a while.
Okay, we are live. You can start the meeting.
Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is the Water Sewer Advisory Board. We're calling the meeting to order. And welcome to all the guests that are out there. First thing we need to do is go over agenda changes. Does anybody have any changes to the old agenda? Do we need more people? That's the question.
We need to we need to eliminate item 5D because I could not access Julie's.
Okay,
If so.
let's take that out of there. 5D.
3, 4, 5.
Any questions on the agenda? I mean, I can start asking these questions. Hopefully other people will join.
Nope, I would say we approve the agenda and confirm we've got a quorum.
Jen, turn it up a little bit. Turn your volume up a little bit.
I would
Please.
say I will move to approve the agenda as amended, and that should also serve to establish we've got a quorum.
Okay, do I have anyone to second that?
Second that.
All in favor, but I think we're still slim on having enough.
We have
folks.
5.
Yeah. It's me, you, Barry, Dan, and Saru.
Okay, so that, it passed. Okay. Let's go on. Number 3, okay, we did that. That's the updates. We're gonna go to A, utility status report highlights.
No, I think you
Maria?
still need, did you just do the minutes review and approval?
Oh, okay, no. Okay,
We just
I
did the agenda, item 2.
I got you. We need to approve the minutes reviewed.
I read the minute and nothing stuck out to me, but who can remember May?
Okay, that's so-
Was that
Anyone on
fast?
this?
So I will
Okay.
move to approve the minutes.
Okay, anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's approved. Okay, let's go on to 4. Sorry if I'm getting a little too quick there.
That's okay.
A, utility status report highlights. Marie.
Okay, so I sent all this out earlier today. Usually I don't want to go over everything in the essence of time, but if you have specific questions about what I have put on there, I will highlight a few a little bit later in the agenda, but is there any questions you have right now?
Other than the fact that I didn't get it.
You didn't get it? Well, let me send it
set
to
out
you.
fairly, pretty late in the afternoon.
I looked as
early.
recently as 30 minutes ago.
No, it was sent out earlier today. Let me get that
Yeah.
over to you. Yeah, you were on the email. It was this morning at 10:09 a.m., but I will forward it to you right now. Should be on its way.
Thank you. And I can't seem to get my video to not do the camera that is facing the window and have it do the one that is facing me instead.
Well,
So
we've never had a hummingbird attend our meeting, so
So this is, I find
it's
interesting.
lovely. It'll keep us all calm.
okay.
We, I will add that this report is from June and July. However, as of a few days ago, we are on stage 1 water withdrawal restrictions because of the low flow in the Eno. So we are running between 3 CFS and 10 CFS cubic feet per second. If it goes below 3 cubic feet per second, then we have to look at additional releases. Right now, we we need to do our minimum release, and we have a maximum withdrawal of 1.51 million gallons a day. And if we need more than that, then we need to release more from the reservoir to make up that difference. The reservoir is already a little low because of our construction. And I guess the big news on the phase 2 construction project is right now the town owns a beautiful bridge along Car Store Mill for now, as we work to get that dedicated to NCDOT, but the bridge was reopened in June and people are happy and it looks great, although someone already did run into the guardrail, but the contractor will fix that. DOT seems happy. We are happy. We have received our approvals from dam safety and the federal government to go ahead and let it fill. But since we are about 5 feet down, it's going to take a while to even get back up to our phase 1 level and then let it go further. Anything specific on the utilities report you'd like to know?
Marie, it had the, so many fixes were done outside the town and so many leaks inside the town. Are we able,
Go ahead.
are we able to flag that as outside and inside in terms of cost?
Sorry, it's not really outside or inside, it's private, not town owned, meaning it's on their service line side
Oh, I see. Okay.
versus we own from the main to the clean out or on a sewer or the
Mhm.
main to the meter box on the water. So I was reporting which side the leak was on, like we'll get the call and respond. But if
Oh,
it's,
okay.
if it's on the customer side, we have to advise them to call a plumber. And if it's on our side, then we fix it. So that's what I meant. Sorry for the confusion.
I must have misread it. Okay.
Want to move on?
Yep.
Go on.
Oh, let's see. So the next item is the budget update. I think you guys have seen the budget work, the plan, and either saw the video and things like that. I sent you just basically the water and sewer. There isn't much specific to report. What we're going to do is start moving on the things that we did get funding for. We are still holding on a few things that, and Eric can chime in as he wishes, but we're getting some, I guess we're calling them ARP or ARPA funds from the American Recovery or Resource Plan. We're going to get some money from that. I think Eric will be making a recommendation that at least part of it go to water and sewer projects. There is another part of ARPA money that will actually be distributed through the state through applications. We're looking at that too as another possibility, as well as some other funding mechanisms for some of the projects that still remain on the unfunded list. What else can I say about the budget?
Well, should we discuss the rate further down or discuss it with the budget?
Well, since that was a change in the budget at the last minute, I think, I know Jen at least had a question of the change in minimum
Yes.
usage and how that came about. What are your comments on that? I think that was an example of something that could be done, and it was done.
Well, I thought it's a double whammy. We have an increase on our rate, and then it gets charged sooner because the minimum is decreased.
Yeah, for me, I don't know where those numbers came from. That's nothing Dan Barker and I ever, I remember our stuff. I don't remember either of us proposing anything that looked like that. So I'm wondering what the town board did as the justification for those, not for that number in particular, because that's nowhere close to anything Dan and I had analyzed and looked
And
at.
like I said, I think that was an example that was given in the budget message. I had shared with you some points that were going to be made to the board about the rates and how we could go about adjusting them. That it was not a recommendation to do, but I do believe that because of the pressures from citizens on to do something about the rates, they chose that. We did not have any numbers to support it. Again, it was an example. I don't know the impacts yet. By my calculations, like Saru said, I'm not sure the budget staff is looking at that, but they did adjust the FY21 rates accordingly for the lower minimum with the 4%, I believe 4% increase.
Yeah, I know for me, I was always at the minimum and still am. I mean, my water bill's gone down $1. It just, given constraints, given particularly a number of stories hitting about small town utilities being seized, the Guardians covering the pollution issues in Pittsburgh. I think something around Fayetteville has been on WRAL a few times. Didn't another town just get shut down by the state as well down east? I would like to have, and this is why when we get to discussions with the town board, I'd rather have it as a separate meeting, because this does not strike me as a well-informed decision for risk mitigation and management. It sounds good, but is going to do more harm than good in the long run. And that concerns me a bit.
Yeah, families especially,
Yeah.
and low-income people. I mean, really, it's just, I was shocked when I saw that.
Yeah, I would like to hear some justification for that, because it was the only thing I've seen from a town board member was a bullet point list on Nextdoor that highlighted in bold font words that look really good on a campaign mailer. I don't understand. This concerns me quite a bit. I think we need a meeting about it to understand what it was. I think we're going to still have to do higher rate increases next year. And again, this is just pushing the heartburn down the road.
What we can do is, if you'd like, we can take this up at a separate meeting.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Go over it.
suggesting. Yeah, because we talked about, I think that's a later on item, and I would rather it be completely separate from this board, for either the town board comes here like we did the last time.
Okay, you'd like to make a recommendation for that?
I think we have it as one of the later items to talk through that, in fact. I'm jumping ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, it's item 5A1.
Okay, anybody else have any questions on B? Okay, let's go on to C, collection system modeling report update. All right.
Yes, we have received the sealed report. If you recollect, I presented on the first phase of the modeling report, which was a static snapshot of how our collection system is performing currently and with committed and potential growth. Committed meaning ones that we know are coming down the pipeline, that we have approved a master plan or a water sewer extension contract for. Potential being the larger parcels within our service area that we've had inquiries about, and a no at some point will be coming. As you know, the phase 1 snapshot used estimated flows for the future. And it said that we had several pipes to upgrade, and I believe it estimated about $25 million with contingency included. Our main interceptors, which were built in the early 70s when the treatment plant was built, they have had minimal rehabilitation, but it's not really even about rehabilitation right now. I think that we have a wet weather issue in the northern part of town that goes into our river pumping station. We already know, we did a little separate study on a conceptual plan to help the river pump station, because when it rains, all 3 pumps run and they run for several hours, and that's not how it should be. The phase 1 report also looked at the Elizabeth Brady Basin. So those are our 2 largest basins, River Basin and Elizabeth Brady. All the other smaller sewer shed basins, as we call them, pump or gravity flow into these 2 basins, and then those 2 basins pump things into the wastewater plant. So that was a static snapshot. Since that report was done, we have put flow monitoring in the ground. We have measured the actual conditions. We captured some really good rain events to really get a calibrated model that is within 20% of reality. And then we, again, in the meantime, I tweaked the committed and potential flow numbers based on some billing data analysis and some timing of how things might be, so many balls in the air, which one's going to land first. So together that constituted the phase 2 report, which we have received the results. And as expected, it is about the same, even though I was able to reduce the committed and potential flow, what we think will be the actual numbers, by 300,000 gallons a day. We still need to upgrade in size much of our gravity interceptors through Exchange Club Park and along Riverwalk, after we move River Pump Station out of the floodplain and follow that report recommendation, which was to attempt to negotiate with the school system to put it at the lower end of the Cameron Park Elementary parcel.
Marie?
Now, yes.
Question, what's going on with the pump station? It's getting infiltrated with groundwater. That's causing the pumps to run like that?
It is inflow and infiltration from a leaky collection system in the northern half of town. That is our oldest vitrified clay. I think we have some Orangeburg. We have hammer taps and things like that. So part of the recommendations of the phase 2 report, I guess I'll just summarize the highlights of the phase 2 report. I will be presenting it to the board at the workshop at the end of August, barring anything catastrophic happening and us needing to push it. So the details will be presented to the board in a presentation format at the 23rd, on August 23rd. But the highlights of the report are that if we want to handle committed flows through 2040, we have about $36.6 million of upgrades.
Replacing all those pipes into the pump stations.
Yes, and eliminating inflow and infiltration. So it's going to be a balance of both.
Yeah, because as soon as you fix the pipe, you can get rid of a lot of the infiltration, but I'm sure there's groundwater that's infiltrating into the system too. Through the whole pump
Yes, if
station.
there's cracked pipes, we do get high groundwater. We have a lot of springs around town as well. So 36.67 is only for committed flows through 2040. That also includes the costs that the other consultant estimated for the river pump station replacement. So that's why it jumped from 25 to 36. It jumped up a little bit. And then we also added the $7 million cost of river pump station. In that number, there is probably double contingency because the other engineer included a good contingency in their estimate. And then that was on top of this consultant's contingency application. And moving river pump station will eliminate some of the interceptor being upgraded because it will now be a force main. For 2040 committed and potential flows, if we want to accommodate everything we know of now, except for redevelopment in town, which consists of high density buildings, you know, your mixed use things with apartments on the top, retail on the bottom. The estimated cost, again, including the river pump station, is 42.74 million. But they also prioritize what we should look to first, because we can't bite all of that at once, and we don't know yet how we want to proceed.
They're gonna do bonds or something on this?
We haven't gotten that far yet. So we still need to present this finding to the board and present to them some recommendations on how we're gonna grow, what we want, how we're going to deal with the remaining capacity, and how we're going to pay for upgrades if all the growth is wanted. And how and what timing are we going to do this in? So the priority for us right now, per the report, and it could be changed as we talk through these issues, the report recommends dealing with the river pump station basin first. They have identified that our Lawndale sewer shed, which our Lawndale has our Lawndale pump station, that is the leakiest of the basins that feed river. So that is a small basin that's actually pretty doable to run a pilot program to investigate how leaky it is and what it would take to fix it. And if we go through the fixes in that basin, we'll be able to measure how much flow we have removed by fixing those sewers. And that reduction not only can be used to add growth in that basin, but also as we move through other basins and do the same type of analysis, we can project if we do A, B, and C the same way we did it in Lawndale, we can expect to recoup X gallons per day of capacity. That still does not mean that we do not need to upsize the main interceptors to handle future flow. It means we can do some trade-offs, and finding the trade-off between how much money do you want to spend in removing leaks versus how much do we want to spend in upsizing. If we don't want to do anything today and we want to accommodate all the growth, we need $42.7 million. And I just don't think that's a hard pill to swallow. It's a tough conversation.
They can't uplift the piping, they can't coat them, or they can't redo them because the pump station needs to be moved to begin with. So that's out of the, you're just gonna put a Band-Aid on the problem, so.
And it's a lot of work given where the main interceptors are located.
Where would they be located?
To put a Band-Aid, because they're through Exchange Club Park and they're along
Okay.
Riverwalk. If we need to be one and done is my opinion.
I agree with you.
Of course, I don't have the final say in that, but that is my recommendation. If you're going in there, let's do it right how we want it.
I'm just gonna recommend that meeting, it's the 23rd. Everybody should attend it if they can. If you can't, you can't. But it might be a good idea if we all got on there, because whoever has to watch that meeting, it's going to be more than they have to be able to handle by themselves to tell us. And if we can all get a little piece of it, then it'll help. If each of us remembers something out of there, so.
It'll be
Just recommend.
recorded as well, so you
Yeah,
can
you
watch
can always
it.
go back
You
and
can
watch
watch it until the next board meeting, until the minutes are approved, we leave the videos up on the YouTube channel. So even if you can't or don't want to listen to that, you will be able to see it. And of course, I will share my presentation with you, at least the slides.
Go ahead, Jen, I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm with Art too. I mean, given the severity and kind of what happened with the rates, it's good to kind of hold people to account, is my other thought.
Okay, any other questions on C? Okay, let's,
I do have one. I
Go
think
ahead.
Eric, you might know this. What is our bond rating right now? Are we AA? I think that was the last I heard.
Eric, I guess you're good on that. Would you know?
Yes, we're AA.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we finished C and now we go on to development around town, D. Marie. Again,
I've included Margaret's planning department report because of the inquiries. When I watched the meeting minutes of May, it was something you wanted me to add to the utilities report, which I did. But Margaret's report that she gives the town board every month is much more, has more data and actuals. People are living in Collins Ridge. They got their COs. They have only certified the sewers for the first 58 lots. They have 3 total plats, and I believe those lots are in the phase 1 plat. They still are working on the rest of the sewers, getting them accepted. They're still working on getting some water and sewer services installed for areas they haven't built upon. And so until they get all those things done, they cannot create as-builts and they cannot certify the rest of the sewer system. So right now, people are waiting to move in on the townhomes. And we've done what we can to accommodate, but they really need to get that stuff done themselves.
there are people living in the private homes there, some of them, correct?
Yes, we issued, I believe by the end of June, which they were really pushing for us to approve COs. I think we approved at least 38,
Says 37 in March.
37. Yeah, they did Margaret did her report for June and July as well.
I
So
try to go through there once a month, just to see what's going on.
yeah, it's definitely hustling and bustling there. So people are living there. We are still working development wise. Forest Ridge is finishing up their very last phase. They are, we're working with Forest Ridge. They have to do some sewer fixes for pre-acceptance from our televising, and they're working on those now. We realize that the board has never accepted all the phases in Forest Ridge except for the very first one. I can also not find where the board has accepted Fiore Hills. We are working on the new Orange County Northern Campus. They just received their CO for that new Ag and Environmental Center. They have not requested the CO for the jail. They are addressing some punch list items, and they're working on getting everything that we need to bring it to the board for acceptance. We are still working with Harmony at Waterstone, all 3 phases to get them accepted. I can't find any. I find where these systems have been certified for operation, but I do not see any board minutes or letters of dedication or all the things that we require in our water and sewer extension contracts. to be able to ask the board to accept those systems as our own. This means that we are walking a fine line on calls for problems. We are trying to hold the developers accountable for fixing things as we get calls, but at the same time, we really should include those neighborhoods in our flushing program and address low pressure calls in case it's something happening in our system. Same with, a backup. We should make sure it's not our own system causing a problem in the private system. So all those things are underway right now. So there's probably going to be a mass consent agenda item for the board at some point this year, having all those things being accepted by the town for our ownership. The one that has gone very smoothly is Crescent Magnolia. That is the place in Waterstone by Habitat. And we are actually did the warranty walkthrough. Things are looking good. We're probably going to release their warranty bond. It's been a year. They've done everything they need to do. They do have another project that we're also trying to get finalized. That's homes along Odie Street. We have go ahead.
Good question on the development that's on 70. I think it's west or east of Lawrence. That has nothing to do with this because it's all septic on that system there, right?
Yes.
And where do they get the water from?
Wells.
Okay. That's what I wasn't sure of, but they already have a house there built.
Yeah, that's, I think we did get inquiries. We do have our water main along 70 in that area, but that is a transmission main for our Durham interconnect.
So they can't.
So we are not, and it's outside our area. It's outside our boundary.
Good.
So there is no serving them with water.
No.
We did also release bonds for Elfin Pond, all phases. So that project is done and that's ours. Now we accepted a small 9-home subdivision on Daphne Drive. That was a redevelopment of a former mobile home park. So they're building houses there.
That's
And
cool.
those are the big ones I can think of. So that's the development status. We don't have any word on what will happen with Daniel Boone Village, but we know that is critical to redevelopment as Collins Ridge builds out. And I think that's what the growth plan says and will say as we go through working on that as well.
Okay. Any questions on development around town? Okay, so let's move on to staffing. One, introduction to new finance director.
Yay! We have Tiffany Long. Tiffany, you want to say hi?
Congratulations, Tiffany.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be back in the town of Hillsborough. So I look forward to working with you all.
Glad to have you. Go ahead.
Sorry, if you have any specifics you wanted to ask Tiffany, I've sort of filled her in that the finance director does participate at times presenting data, if not providing data about the water and sewer fund. So you'll definitely be seeing her more. And if you didn't read the write-up about her, she worked with the town before. Was it 2003-ish? And she was in accounts payable. I hope I got all of that right. But
yeah, that's right.
So there's a familiarity, and we're so happy to have her on board.
Seems like a thing, people that were here before coming back.
Once you leave, you got to come back. It's like the Hotel California, right? Once you get back, you can never leave.
Leave. Two, staffing, utility staff.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick update. So we have a lot of job postings, the most since I have started as the utilities director. We had Matthew Yoder left to return to school to be an engineer, which I could not really fault him for, being one myself. So good for him. He wanted to focus full time. So he was a utility mechanic in Al's group. He did the pump station. So we advertised for that. We actually have an internal candidate who applied and I believe will be interviewed along with a few others. So then that means the maintenance tech who's internal might possibly go to the mechanic side. So we'll have another vacancy. In the meantime, we also had a person transfer to Public Works. They actually came from Public Works, and now after I think a year and a half, they went back to Public Works. So we had a vacancy on the line crew side, and they're interviewing for that. Our night operator at the water treatment plant had a child, and he moved to be closer to family who could help visit and take care of the cutest little baby girl. And so we've advertised for a night operator, and we did an interview yesterday. I have not heard the outcome of it as I was not involved in that, but if that is a go, hopefully we'll get someone on board. We have a water operator out on medical leave. And we have the chief operator position that I believe Haley is bringing to the board Monday. We want to eliminate that position and make it a mechanic, because we do need a mechanic to help keep up with all the water treatment plant pieces and parts that need more maintenance, which means we will be leaving our interim ORC as ORC, which is Sam Donovan. He's done a great job, totally picked up on everything, as has Nathan, being a fairly new water treatment plant superintendent. The water plant is in good hands, but we do have a staff shortage there we're trying to fill. With Nathan Cates moving as the water treatment plant superintendent, I lost my lead inspector. So we do have one inspector left, and he's holding his own, doing a great job, Terry Rich. But we did advertise for a lead inspector, and we didn't get a lot of applications. I may interview one particular applicant. I simply haven't had time. And then, of course, Julie left us at the end of May, and we miss her dearly. We did get approval to change her position from a utilities analyst to an engineer. We did get some applicants for that. What we were doing with that engineer position is always also having them have experience to be able to help stormwater and public works with streets and stormwater infrastructure items. And we're looking through the applicants, but we may extend that to make sure that we get someone who has experience in water, sewer, number one, and then also stormwater and roadway design.
Any,
So things are happening.
sounds like you're busy trying to hire a lot of people, and this is not an easy time to hire people.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think we'll get some people. We also looked at and I briefly talked with HR about it. We did hear a presentation from one of our professional associations, the North Carolina Rural Water Association. They have an apprenticeship program that the guys were interested in exploring more. I don't know if it will work for us because we haven't gotten that deep into it. We just heard what they have to offer, and their program has some data points that show that when you hire an apprentice and foster them through their program and help them succeed in getting all their certifications and training, that they are much more likely to stay than someone that you just hire and invest in, and then they might, choose to go somewhere else after a certain period of time for whatever reason.
That sounds really good. That's, hopefully maybe we can get something from that.
Yeah, I mean, Haley has been super swamped with the upcoming pandemic policy changes and all the hirings and advertisements that we've been doing, and onboarding, offboarding, and so many other things that, I'm not pressing her on this. And when I hope to get to be able to talk to her more about it soon, but understand that she's swamped, and frankly, we all are right now. We're doing the best we can.
Any more questions for Marie at this point? Marie, thank you for.
I'll mute myself for a moment while you do board meeting updates.
Yep, we got our our member reports from the meeting assignments. Daniel is not here, right? Oh, Daniel's here.
I am here. I haven't said anything. I'm just watching
Yeah,
and listening.
I'm thinking of, what's the name? Okay, go ahead, Daniel.
Okay, so there wasn't, it's been a while, so I went back and I was looking at the agenda. I do recall most of the meeting had nothing to do with the water system, but there was a discussion at some point, and maybe Ms. Lloyd or maybe you can help me on it. There was a discussion about the hookup fees and costs for the new developments. I don't think nothing was voted on, but there was at least a discussion about it and how other towns are doing it. I don't think anything really came. I think they were at the end of the discussion, they were talking about, maybe we need to do a little bit more research on it, I think. If maybe Marie can help me on this. It's been a while. If I can, I was trying to remember, and that's why I ran back and I looked at the minutes to see if there had been a mentioning of it. I know that they had covered it a little bit because of how, in town, that's one of the big things going on is the Collins Ridge. And there was a discussion about when, they do get their, these new houses are coming online.
Oh, you muted again.
And there was some discussion about, I think the real estate agents talking about, making it, when they do the sale, who was going to actually pay for the hookup and where that would be assessed and the price of the home. But Marie, maybe you can help me. I don't think we came up there. I don't think they really had any kind of vote about it. I think it was just a discussion about it.
It was a discussion item. I was bringing the idea of implementing more fees on developers for growth. Growth pays for growth type cost recovery efforts. And I was showing them what other towns charge. I had a hypothetical project and I showed what each municipality that I gathered information from would charge for the same exact project. And it showed that we're not really recouping what we could or should. And that is another thing on my plate to get to, is to actually implement those fees and bring them back to the board for formal approval. In the meantime, as we develop water and sewer extension contracts for new development, I have heard from our attorney that if they agree to it in our contract, we can charge those fees. So I am trying to implement some of those as a holdover until I can really look comprehensively, and also talk to Tiffany now that she's on board, because they're going to have to update their billing system, their invoice system, to actually put those fees in there. And we need to figure out the logistics of how we're going to track some of those things. One thing that I have done for our inspector is I created a short inspection form that they can use from their tablet or phone. And every time that they go to a project, they enter the project, They enter why they're there. Is it to inspect? Is it a pre-construction meeting, a progress meeting? Because are they witnessing testing? Did the contractor call them out there? Is it a repeat visit? So I'm starting to gather data to track the actual time and what we're doing, so that will help me formulate the fees. Should we do a fee based on literally their time, their hourly rate, or should we try to make a flat fee? There's several ways to do it. And, but in the meantime, I'm using similar charges from other municipalities in the water and sewer extension contract. And that
So
was
if-
my long-winded answer.
If you did it by the hourly fee, you're talking about the actual cost of the employee. Are you going to add anything to that so that we're actually making some money off of it that can be applied to some of the debt that we have?
Well, we can't actually make a profit, but what we can do is try to recoup what we're paying. So our inspectors, yes, they need vehicles, they need gas in the vehicles, they need computers, they need office space, and that's your overhead costs. So yes, I would take their hourly and add like a multiplier for some overhead, but I need to also find out what's a fair number for overhead. And we have to make sure that we are not, we're just trying to simply recoup the cost. We're not trying to make money. It's a non-revenue enterprise fund. We're not allowed to make money and we're not out to make money. We're just out to cover our costs for operation and things like that. So yes, that's on my plate. And the commissioners didn't vote on it, but they did, I believe they had a consensus that yes, that's a good idea. Let's implement some more fees. Because development is happening and it is taking a lot of our time and resources.
Thanks, Daniel. I guess
I just
next
want to
we-
say thanks to
Go ahead.
Marie. That was much more intelligible than my report.
You're
I
all
knew
good.
I remember we had talked about it, or they had talked about it, but I didn't remember all that detail.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got you.
Okay, I don't think Paul is here and I don't think the other Barry's here. So we're gonna go with Barry Weston.
I don't know that there's much to say that you folks don't already know about the rate increase. And that was really the only significant thing to us that was discussed that night. And it was an interesting conversation on how they got around to it. But I think probably a number of you have watched that at this point, and I can't explain it.
Okay.
Sounds like this, you said there's a video of this online somewhere on YouTube?
It would be the
There,
board meeting.
there was, I don't know whether it is still available. Marie, do you know?
If they have not approved the minutes from that meeting, which they didn't have any July meetings, it would still be up there. I can check and see.
Well, I'll check. That's okay. I was just curious if someone knew. Thank you, though.
Go ahead, Barry.
I really don't have anything else to report related
Okay.
to that.
Jen?
Our planning board meeting got canceled because the planning department is still catching up on all the stuff about the 160D legislation, which changes how zoning and permits are done and which board is in charge of them.
Okay.
So that got canceled actually.
Okay.
And we didn't have like any applications either, apparently.
Any other questions before we go on to 5? Okay. This is discussion on rate analyst status and direction. On 1, we got joint meeting with BOC on attendance at August workshop.
That's meant to be a question for, and discussion item
For
for you
everybody.
guys.
Yeah,
How, I mean, Jen's already said what she wanted to do, but if you want to open it up to everyone.
we can wait on that unless you want to do something now, Jen.
Well, we need to know if you want
Put
to,
this off.
know if you want to roll a rate discussion into a workshop or you want to have a separate meeting with the board. I think it's important at this point, we've all played around with the model and have an idea. I've heard you all say at least 3 top priorities. Making it affordable, dealing with out of town, and possibly something with commercial rates. So I think it is important for you guys and the board to make sure that those priorities align before we get other people involved and really drill down to see if we can do anything to alleviate one or all, or what we can do, because I don't want to go through all of it with you guys and then the board not want to do the same, have the same priorities. So I'd like you guys to discuss how you want to come together with some top priorities that we can take and run with.
We can open discussion on it and just see what everybody would like to do with this. I mean, I know this is what you started talking about in the beginning, but I don't know where we're at with it right now. So what we want to do. As far as meeting with the board or having some type of meeting amongst us on here at some other date and just discuss this. I don't know how everybody feels about that, if they'd like to do it.
I think we need to have our own meeting first.
I agree. I think
And
that's,
then we can go to the board, but then we'll already hash out what our priorities are and our thoughts are as a committee.
I
And
think
then
that's smart.
you can present it to the board while we all sit there.
Well, I think to Marie's point, she's right. I would not be surprised if there is a mismatch between those 3 priorities she just outlined in the town boards.
Yeah.
I think that's a very high probability. And we did one of these, Marie, you might not, I think you were working here. We did it about 18 months or 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, where we did a separate meeting with the town board. And yeah, their priorities were a bit different than ours, particularly the out of town point.
I think maybe we'll set up a meeting.
Okay.
If you want, we can do it a month from now when we normally meet, unless, or sometime towards the end of this month. When it's a good date for everybody to do it.
So are we meeting monthly again?
That's another discussion item.
Yeah, we have to discuss that. You know, at this point, I don't know if we're gonna do every other month. I'm not sure. I just want to try to get everybody to decide what they feel is the best for everybody. This meeting is there's a lot on this agenda this month. So, but we weren't here for last month and we weren't here for like 3 months, almost 4 months.
Right. So, I mean, the schedule is going to determine how we want to schedule our rate discussion meetings. So,
Anybody, go ahead, Jen.
I was going to suggest I'm actually kind of with Marie. I think we all actually are. This board itself is in consensus on the priorities. But if if people want to do a refresher to prep the packet, use our regularly scheduled what would have been our September 1st meeting to do it, and then invite the town board for the October meeting that we would have on the first Thursday of the month.
but that goes back to saying that we're meeting monthly. So we haven't decided that yet. So that's why I'm saying we have to discuss the schedule, because if we need to fit in, if we're going to meet every other month, then we need to fit in a special meeting.
What's your thoughts on this, Marie? As far as I know, it's not supposed to be your thought on this, but you bring a lot of data to us, and there's a lot going on, and I just want to get a feeling of what your thoughts are on this.
Well, I know that the rate structure is something that has been a priority. We looked at it, I think back when I was a member like you guys, 2011-ish, I think it was looked at. It's time to look at it again. But we also have some time. I mean, we've already made an adjustment. We don't fully know the impacts of the adjustment on the minimum yet. And so I think I'd really like to get through capacity and growth discussions, but I do think if we were going to try to get a priority, we should get a priority, by fall. So I agree with Jen, September, October, we need to be discussing this, whether it is a regular monthly meeting or we call a special joint meeting with the board.
I'm just going to throw this out there now. I think till the end of the year, and we'll decide in December or January, I feel we need to have a meeting every month because I think there's a lot going on right now. And I think it's important that we meet on a monthly basis because there's just too much going on. I mean, we need to address a whole bunch of different things, and we're going to be backwards when it comes to next year. And I know with COVID and everything, it's caused us to be backwards to begin with. So I think we need to try to catch up on everything. And I just want to see if anybody agrees, if they'd like to. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Then, okay.
So I'll make the motion that we start meeting monthly.
Okay, so Rue makes who wants to second that? Jen seconds it. All in favor? Okay, we're all in
My
favor.
hummingbird says yes.
I'll give a verbal aye.
Yeah, I think it's important, and I want to help. We want to help you. So I mean, that's what we're here to do, and there's no way we're going to help you if we do this every couple of months. It's just not going to work.
And I will say one thing, Art just said that that you actually did a verbal update on it, Marie, but we probably do want to start putting in some regular report is all of the federal funding and state funding that's out there for utilities relief. And did we get these grants? Did the state come up with some new did the federal government come up with a new program to help with utilities relief is probably something we need to monitor just to share with neighbors who are still struggling through everything.
So you're saying you want available funding mechanisms where?
I was just
In
in
the-
the news report, it's just an extra row on it of did something new come out of the government that we can take money from? Or did the Gates Foundation decide to give us money to do just different? You've been doing verbal updates on it, but we can just get it written down too.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot. I can't just say, hey, there's funding for water and sewer, we're going to go for it, because that takes some analysis and how it impacts our debt service and all that. But I can tell you, hey, we heard of one thing I attended recently was, I believe it's out of FEMA, is it's called BRIC, and I can't tell you what the acronym is for, but it has it's funding to do with some type of mitigation. And reading the guidance, I was having a hard time connecting any water and sewer projects to it, but attending an informational session, they were highlighting some other utilities that got money for wastewater treatment plant and pumping station upgrades, mainly because those were mitigating flooding impacts. So that is our river pump station is in the floodplain.
So can we get 47 million?
I don't think we can get that. But that is one thing that basically they recommended that we set up a meeting with their contacts over there to run projects through them.
Mhm.
And that could be another avenue. So I can update the report with things like that. The ARPA funds and the BRIC stuff. And Eric put what in the chat, what this stands for: building resilient infrastructure. And my chat box disappeared.
Building resilient infrastructure and communities.
Communities. So if there's a sewer improvement, that would help, like a low income community, that would be something that they would probably be interested in, moving things out of flood mitigation, anything that has redundancy, the OWASA booster pump station, and be able to provide the interconnect with that could be an option if we don't spend ARPA funds on that. That could be a potential BRIC project, but that will be moving fast. I think October 1st, you have to put something in. And when I asked at the information session for BRIC, I said, do utilities have consultants do this stuff? They said 100%. So we need to actually look at that too, and get someone on board to help us. But they gave excellent tips for how to prepare the application, because it's a national program. And North Carolina, I think it's administered through the Division of Public Safety. They want to get as many North Carolina projects approved as possible. They say there's money out there. So I will be gathering our CIP forms from our budget, and hopefully having a chat with one of the representatives where they'll say, well, this might be a really good one, or this one probably wouldn't qualify, and at least narrow some down to be able to come back to our budget team and Eric and the board and be like, this could be viable. Should we jump on it?
Anything else on this?
Dan, were you more so saying programs out there like for assistance of, no, okay,
No, I was more talking kind of like what Marie said, and just
okay,
we've got some opportunity. We've got to find $42 million. Here's some things that
Yeah.
that we're looking. That's it.
okay.
Yeah, and that's 42 million now. 5 years from now.
We always get ahead, but that's kind of it. And mostly I thought of it because I know that the feds keep changing. I don't know the utility side specifically, but you know, the eviction moratorium, and then there's all these other changes on housing. So there's got to be something they're doing with.
What happens with the government too? Because the government's going to do a whole bunch of infrastructure.
Right.
If that passes,
Yes,
Eric,
Once that passes, that's the big question.
Eric.
That's where I think it's a line in the utilities report. These new funding sources came online and we're looking at them. Or we applied for this one whenever we applied for it. And they're going to be like all over the place with everything from building up your infrastructure. And I'm just thinking of the utility support piece because I'm fairly sure I heard something about that getting modified in HUD somehow. But just it's something that I've heard a couple of different times we have verbal updates on. I think is just writing it down in the utilities report. I hope Marie will not take you more than 3 minutes.
go ahead, Eric.
You all may already know this, out of the, I guess the original ARP funds that are coming to the state of North Carolina, about 800 million is being made available for water and sewer. And I think a little over half of that is going for the distressed communities. So I think maybe 440 million. So there's going to be about 360 million that'll be available. And obviously we will be fighting as hard as we can for that. But so are the other 600 water systems in the state.
Going to be fighting here.
Right. And so, I mean, we've got good cases between like having really high rates and old infrastructure, but other folks have that. So we're waiting for that to come down the pike. Maria's been looking at what she just talked about. And of the almost 2.3 million that got earmarked specifically for Hillsborough, and Tiffany got the check for our first tranche, which is a little over 1.1 million last week. We'll get the other 1.1 plus next May. I've been trying to put together some parameters for the board as far as options. There's like 5 different areas that it can be used for. As far as like staff availability, I was trying on June 1st to put together an outline for the board so we could get some broad brush direction. I still haven't got to it. I've got about 100 emails that I haven't got to let you know how busy I've been. I'm regularly in here at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't get to how do we spend $2 million because every day is a new crisis. And I know everybody else staff is the same way. We're still incredibly short-staffed from even before COVID. So I'm hopefully here in the next week, we can get that framed out. I don't want to give you a specific number. I think in the budget, the recommendation was like dedicating 3/4 or 80% of it is going to be my suggestion or more to water and sewer. It would certainly be easier from an accounting, management, and project management standpoint if we spent all of it. There's really larger units or counties, it's easier for them to spend on some of these, health and social issues. It's not conducive for a small municipality. We've already sent another $600,000 from the CDBG's coronavirus funds that Margaret Houth got to supporting, like helping folks with utility bills, housing eviction, and everything. And then I'm about to narrow this down, but just trying to figure out how to manage the flood supposedly of additional grants that are going to be coming in is something we've talked about internally from staff because we're drowning now. But we don't want to add any staff until we can get a better lay of the land about where we need to focus on. And if the infrastructure bill gets approved here, that could open up a whole nother, vault of money that we can compete for. So everything that this board has just talked about and I've covered, this is probably a once in a lifetime opportunity for us to be able to get some significant amount of funds to move forward. So we just have to figure out how to manage it. And I know from prior experience, I get emails all the time from board members. Can we get a grant for this? Can we get a grant for this? Okay, I spent 3 hours reading this and no, we can't do it. I spent 4 hours reading this and no, we can't do it for staff. So we're going to have to figure out a system to be able to effectively time manage all that. Sorry, that was probably way more info than you.
No, that's fine. And
Yeah.
one other thing, I don't know if this has any effect on it, but we're probably on one of the top oldest communities in the state, I would think. Would that affect any of it? Because we are older than most communities that are in the state. I mean, of course, we didn't have sewers back then, but does that affect any type of way that you get the grants and the different things? The fact that we're older than a lot of other communities.
Well, I think the age of your utility system, so the age, the condition, median household income for your residents, rates, and I think Marie is also bringing in an expert to talk to us about other funding options we've got. And he said specifically, like, for those types of reasons, we may be able to target some specific grants for funding projects. And so that kind of also gets back into how important it is for us to do this capital financial plan that I referenced in the budget message and some of the other documents that I sent to the board. And I think Marie sent you, which also had discussions about information on the minimum rates and all the other types of stuff in there. But that's what we need to be able to do is get advice once we can get this done from financial experts that can help us figure out how best to leverage our money. And I want to try to avoid making any screw ups so we can stretch our funds out as the best we can.
Okay, thank you so much for the input. Go ahead, Marie.
I'll just add that the funding, it's not free money. It's either going to be in the form of a low interest loan. Some of them do have what we call principal forgiveness, which used to be called grant portion. Now it's principal forgiveness. The BRIC funding I was talking about before is a 75-25, where we would match 25%, So that sounds like a really good program. But remember, we will have a lot of resources involved. And typically when you get state or federal funding, there's a lot more paperwork and qualifications that everyone needs to meet. And then we also have to get a consultant on board to help management. So, you know, it's great to say, hey, there's grant money or there's funding available, let's go for it. But we also have to consider what it's going to take to get there and to be able to manage it. So we're going to make the best decisions that we can with all the available information that we can get.
Okay. Any other questions on this subject? Go ahead.
More
Jen.
a comment on that consultant part. I would, I'm not sure who you use for them, but I do know there are a number of retired formal proposal writers and project managers who have worked with the feds, some of whom might possibly serve on this board and are not present tonight, that might be able to do some assistance with some of the paperwork tasks a bit cheaper than maybe consultants that are my age, because I know how much I used to get billed out for to do that stuff.
Well, it's probably going to have to be a RF. I don't know. It's not professional services under the rules that say it's not an engineering seal or an architect or surveyor seal, but it's still probably under our procurement will need to be bid. My chair
you put it
is
out for
falling
bid.
down.
You put it out for a bid.
That's how I was able to get bid out.
Yeah, and I did call some of my peers at some of the utilities that the state highlighted that had received funding and asked, hey, who did you use? So to make sure, we like to keep a consultant list. So if you know names, I'll be happy to add them on the list, but I don't think we can cherry pick without going through our procurement policies.
Yeah.
And Tiffany will appreciate me for that.
Yeah, no, I know a couple of retirees who might be able to get back into the business, but you're right about
Yeah, you don't want to do something like that. That just doesn't leave a good taste in anyone's mouth.
yeah, but I know at least 3 people who live in town are retired and used to manage federal RFPs and grants and are very bored in retirement.
Send me their names. I'm glad to keep a list and include them on RFPs, RFQs.
Okay, so we've gone through that. It says meeting assignments for the next thing. But that's actually after 6, future agenda items. Do we have anything on the future agenda items?
Well, can I back up? I
Sure.
put that on, I put the future meeting schedule just to make sure that it was the current one. And I think I sent it in the information. And I just wanted
Yeah,
to
you
make
did.
sure because I think, I want to say back on member reports, either Paul or Barry may have emailed me and said that they didn't know they needed to be somewhere and may have missed it, or I may be completely wrong on it, but at any rate, I just wanted to make sure everyone was cool and had that, and that's why I put it up under discussion if there were any changes. And then under item 7, I put who was actually on it, so then you can discuss that too.
Okay, and what I would like to do is have that sent out to all the board members, that list, sometime in the next week, if possible, unless you want, one of us to do it, if you have nobody to do it. But I'd like that out there so everybody knows, and I can know who's gonna go to what meetings. I want them to get back input from these people to know who's gonna be at each meeting. I have the first meeting on here, I see. But, you know, I want to
Can you
make sure.
clarify? When you say send to board, are you talking about?
Not the sewer board, the water and sewer board.
Oh, okay, well that, if you are all in agreement with the one you just held up that I sent today, then that is the one for the rest of the year.
Okay, and I think that's correct.
Then
Yes,
there's no,
21, that's gotta be correct.
Yeah, I mean, because I now have Dan's old assignments, so mine I used to have different ones, but Dan and I were both on the public hearings, so now I have all of those since he's moved to Alamance. So that's the most updated one.
And it's really convenient for everybody because you really don't have to be there. You can actually go and watch it on YouTube and watch it over if you can't do it that night. So really, there's no excuse why someone can't get to the meeting because it can be looked at a different day. So, but what I'd like to do is make sure that we have someone send this out to all the members and let them know these are the meetings till the end of the year. And to make sure that they get back to us so I know that they've seen it and they know that they're available for that meeting. You know, I know I'm contradicting myself over the fact that you can see it, but I just want to make sure that we have people that are going to do this.
I understand what you're saying, Art. I can go ahead and send it out and have them confirm.
Thanks, Saru. I appreciate that. Okay, and
I'm retired now.
Oh,
yeah. I'm retired too, but my wife has one more year with Duke. Next August, she retires. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the assignments. It's August 9th, Board Commissioners meeting. That's mine. On August 23rd, Saru, that's you. Your sub is Paul. And on September 13th, Board of Commissioners meeting, it's Daniel Rollins and it's Barry Hupp, sub. September 27th, Board of Commissioners workshop, that's Paul Carr and Jen was sub for that one. On the 21st would be Jen, that's yours. And I missed October 11th. That's also the Board of Commissioners meeting. Oh, no. Yeah. Okay. And then the last is October 25th. And we can actually add to the other ones that go into the rest of the year. We could just put them out for the last half of the year and make sure that they're out there for everybody so they know what they got to do. Okay. And 8, interpreter services of special sound equipment for compliance with American.
Artie, I think you need to go back to 5C.
Vacant in town board member positions. You're right. I thought I covered that.
I had sent the charter again, just so everyone was familiar. So you're required to have 6 to 8 members and you attempt to make it half and half. So you don't need to fill it. You can fill it, but you guys should discuss it. You were gonna, last we voted, or you voted, we were gonna wait till in-person meetings were resumed. So, you know, do you want to keep holding on that or do you want to do something different?
My whole thing with that is that if you don't have in-person meetings, I didn't want people to lose their interest in the board. But apparently, this may be the thing to come in the future with us. So it may pay to do it this way in the future anyway, where we can have everybody meet and it really doesn't require people to, you know, have certain meetings where we do have to work together, but we may find that having these type of meetings are a better deal for everybody to deal with it and be able to do it and be here. So I think maybe, let me get some input from everybody. What's everybody think about this?
There have been a lot of applicants for it. Or is there like an applicant pool that already exists and we have some people who are interested, or would we need to go re-advertise, have people apply, and that would add a couple of months anyway?
Julie had, I believe, before she left, inquired to a few of the applicants she had on board and there were none. We did get another request from someone inquiring about it and we told them it was be on hold. We'd like to have as many applicants as possible, especially maybe we could get someone from like Collins Ridge, a brand new resident who is shiny and new and wants to participate, get involved with the town. I don't know if you know people who might be interested, but
I think it might be good for us to put it out there again for everybody and see what kind of applications we get in and go over them next month. That should be on the agenda for next month, to go over the applications we have and choose some to let the board look over and make a decision on who we want to add. Go ahead, Jen.
So I think the town, so I know exactly what you're thinking about, Art, and how it works on the county side. I think the town has a different set of rules where the chair has to do direct interviews and the chair and the staff member associated with the board make that decision. I know that's how we do it on planning,
Okay.
but I think we have a different set of rules here in town versus county, where Art and I are.
Okay, so if we choose them, I think they have to,
And we read it.
if we choose them, I think they have to approve them though.
I would have Marie double check that rule is not unique to planning, but across the board with Hillsborough.
Okay,
I think Jen is right.
Yeah.
okay,
I'm pretty sure that sounds familiar. That sounds.
Okay.
They changed it the way the board is assigned.
Yeah,
Okay,
so the
so
chair
what-
and staff member do interviews. I know, like, I've gotten briefed about people on planning because I'm vice chair there also, but it's more of a chair decision on new members. And yeah, that came about 4 years ago.
I
okay. So
can tell you what Dan and Julie did. So we would advertise for applicants. And then Julie and Dan would go over the applicants and call the ones that they wanted to interview. They would conduct an interview. If they selected one, we would put it as a agenda item for the board to approve.
Okay, that's fine.
So are you all saying that you want an 8th member and that you want to do this sooner than later? Or with everything going on, do you want to maybe talk about it in October if we're meeting monthly?
That would be my suggestion. I think it will be a 2 to 3 month process if you advertised it starting tomorrow anyway.
Yeah, I just don't want it to go too late into the year because then
Right.
you get the holidays and people are it's gonna be a little harder, but if we can put it out there now and then leave it on the agenda to look at it again next month and make that decision.
Now, can you refresh my memory? Is this an in town or an out of
It is
town?
an in-town.
In town, that's what I thought. Okay.
That's why Collins Ridge would be on it, so that's good. Anything else on this? Anybody want to approve this? Anybody for the agenda? Yeah,
I'm like,
do we
I
have
don't
to?
think we need to approve anything other than just
Okay.
giving Marie permission whenever she gets a moment to
Okay.
get the blurb out.
That's fine.
Oh, you're saying we need to have a motion because we officially put it on hold.
Yeah, you probably need to undo it.
Yeah, so,
Because you officially voted to let it lie until in-person meetings resumed.
Yeah, that's why I thought possibly. we need
right,
to
so I will make the motion that since we do not anticipate in-person meetings starting up anytime soon, that we go ahead and ask for applicants who want to apply.
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Okay, approved.
The hummingbird's in favor.
Thank you, Hummingbird. Okay, now we're going back to the where we were before, when I so forgot to add something. Okay, and I,
So, can I ask a question?
sure,
part of this earlier, what we just discussed was talking about whether we were going to continue with virtual meetings or in-person meetings. And I'd just like to throw out that I think the in-person works better for me, especially for the rest of this year, because I've already got plans where I'm going to be out of town for September and November. But I can easily attend a virtual meeting.
That's one of the great things about doing a virtual meeting, because if you're traveling or something, you can even just do it on your phone. So it just makes things easier for everybody. Although I miss seeing everybody in the room, and it's, you know, I'm sure we all do miss that, but if it's working, just, you know, and don't try to fix it, just keep doing it. Let me see. Where were we at? 8, I guess, the adjournment?
Did you cover 6 future agenda items?
Yeah, I hit on 6, and the only future agenda item would probably be the 2 things that we've mentioned so far. One of them being looking for another person to be on the board, and there was one other that was on there that I don't have a note for you, but I know there was
Rate,
going over the
rates.
going over rates. Yep, those are the 2 things that should be listed on the future agenda.
So I make a motion that we adjourn.
Well, do we have any public comments or anything on there? You see anything there, Marie?
No one is requested to participate in the active session here. I don't know if Commissioner Lloyd wants to say anything.
No,
Commissioner Lloyd?
no, not really. It's been very interesting.
Thank you.
Appreciate you chiming in tonight, as well as Eric and Tiffany.
And I appreciate everybody being here. I know, you know, your time is special, and looking at me all night's not a great thing to deal with.
I will say, Marie, just found Julie's recurring items list and sent it to you. And it's a month-by-month breakdown of what it is. And it is the most recent one.
Awesome. So I'll put that on to talk about next month. I'll put that on the agenda as well.
Okay.
Well, and I would like to add one more thing. I still have not gotten the thing from you, Marie, that you sent me a second time. So I don't know whether there's something on my end or whether my email address has somehow gotten wrong, but I have not gotten anything from you today, earlier or now.
What we'll have to do is look into his email and make sure that he's.
Barry, why don't you email
Yeah,
Marie?
email me your email. Make sure I have it right. I have a Yahoo account.
I'm sure you've got it right, but I will email you so that I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, Yahoo is sometimes a wonder.
I just tried. I tried it again.
Any other questions here about anything? Anybody want to adjourn here?
I'd be happy to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, and who wants to second it? You have Barry first, Jen second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Aye.
Everybody take care, be healthy.
Okay.
Thanks so much. I'll see you
Thank
next
you.
month.